This is Football Night in America, served by Applebee's.
That was fast. Feels like it was only 5-6 weeks ago, not 17 weeks ago. We were in Chicago for the season opener, and the Packers won that game. It wasn't pretty, and little did we know the Packers would be a team with a bye when we get to the end of the season with Rodney Harrison, Mike Florio, Tony Dungy, Mike Tirico. So 256 games in the books, and we know a lot. We know that the NFL is the gift that keeps giving. Another, 5 teams, Jake? 5 teams who were not in the playoffs last year made it. So that turnover continues. Why don't we start with the reaction to the Pats loss? Rodney, I'm going to go to you first because the New England loss to Miami was probably the one thing Week 17 that we didn't see coming.
Yeah, I was really shocked. I just felt like, this was a golden opportunity for them, a team that has been so beat up. I mean, you got one of your starting linebackers playing fullback. I mean, this is a team that's been devastated by injuries on the offensive side. Coach, we had a conversation. We talked about how great that defense was supposed to be. And just, to miss a golden opportunity, to get that week off was just devastating to me.
The fact that they don't have a bye for the first time since 2009 just confirms what a run we did see. And now there's a sense it's over, but this is one team that you don't want to rule out. They looked good Week 16 against the Bills. It looked like they were finally starting to iron things out, and they'll find a way to get motivated. They'll find a way to make it competitive, and this is a team that we can't write off
Tony,
yet.
before we go forward, can I go back to the game against Miami for a second? Any chance that Brian Flores' knowledge of the Patriots' defense helped them game plan as a team that was ready the second time around, not the first time around, when Miami played them early in the season?
Absolutely. The Patriots had some problems on offense. We saw that Bill Belichick choosing to let the clock run out with 1:40 and 3 timeouts. So there were some things going on offense. But I thought Brian Flores, they picked apart that Patriots defense. Quick, short passing, going to Devontae Parker, running different types of routes on Stephon Gilmore.
Did you ever expect them to attack Stephon Gilmore and have the type of level of success that they had?
No, I did not. I was shocked. I can't remember the Patriots losing a meaningful home game in December that they had to have. I just can't remember.
But also, you had mentioned something while we were watching the game, the clock mismanagement.
Well, I don't think it was mismanagement. I think it was Tom's not ready to throw, so why take timeouts? I think something was going on. Bill Belichick does not mismanage time.
But he had 1 minute and 45 seconds left.
Conscious decision.
Right.
They made a choice.
He chose to run it out.
They made a choice.
We saw that video of Brady doing this after he'd be throwing the ball on the sidelines, and we'd see him shake his elbow out. That elbow's been bothering him. A couple weeks ago, it was iced up after a game. That's been an issue for him for weeks now. And
that was a video that the media can get into a certain portion of practice for one period of practice almost every day. And the local Boston media, someone put together on social media the shots over a few days of Brady throwing and then twisting out that arm. So who knows if there is an elbow issue, which we have seen documented on the injury report a few weeks.
It may have been something temporary at that point, but their strategy, they defer when they win the toss so they can have that last drive of the first half. They want to score at the end of the first half, beginning of the second half, break the game open. They had 1:45 and 3 timeouts to score. And you've got Tom Brady, and you don't take any of your timeouts, and you run the ball twice and go in.
And this is a team that's going into the playoffs that normally wouldn't be questioning themselves. I think they have questions about themselves, and they're not playing with a lot of confidence.
So let's spin this forward now, because to get back to the Super Bowl and win, they will likely have to beat Tennessee and Derrick Henry, a big bruising running back. A.J. Brown is playing terrific for Tennessee. He and Tannehill have something going at home, and then play perhaps at Kansas City. And then they would play at Kansas City, and then they would perhaps have to go to Baltimore and beat Lamar Jackson in Baltimore there. That's the road to get back to the Super Bowl. Can they do that?
It's tough, and that's not been their formula. Their formula in the past has been get the week off, have 2 weeks to dissect their next opponent, win that first playoff game, and then somebody have to come to Foxborough.
And Tom told me that exact thing when we were up there a couple of weeks ago and did the Saturday game against Buffalo. He said if we can get those 2 games, and they didn't get the one on Sunday, and get a bye, we can win a home playoff game. We've done that all the time. And I love our chances, being the Patriots, in a one-game shot against anyone.
I went to the playoffs 5 of the 6 years that I was with New England. 2 of those years we had the number 1 pick. We had the number 1 seed. We won the Super Bowl in 2003 when we had it. We lost the Super Bowl in 2007. So it's very important. It's imperative that you get that rest, especially when you have a 42-year-old quarterback and you have a bunch of veteran players that have been injured.
And the last time they had to do this, if I remember correctly, 2006 was our Super Bowl year. They went out to San Diego, played a great game out there, but it took a lot out of them. And then we came back. We had the fourth quarter comeback at home, but they had to play on the road 2 straight, and it's tough.
It wears you down.
And Mike Vrabel, who knows the Patriots very well, bringing that Titans team in. Remember, the Titans beat the Patriots last year in Nashville. They're going to give them everything they can handle next week. And even if the Patriots advance, they're not going to be nearly as fresh and as sharp as they'd be if they'd had that whole week off.
That same type of knowledge that Brian Flores has that you mentioned. Mike Vrabel has the same type of knowledge about that defense and offense.
And Jake Abrahams, one of our great researchers on Sunday Night Football and Football Night in America, brought up the point 17 times Mike Vrabel played in a playoff game for Bill Belichick, 3 of them being Super Bowls. That's an entire season of playoff games.
Wow.
So there's just.
I could have told you that. I mean, what makes Jake so special? All you had to do was ask.
Because Jake comes through. You know, the end of the show, when I ask you for a pick every Sunday night, you seem like I've just thought this out of thin air. So the other side of the New England deal is Kansas City. So Kansas City wins this game at home, and now they get the 2 seed. What a difference that makes for the Chiefs.
I promise you, they are so charged up because they go in thinking, oh, it could happen. But realistically, did they think New England was going to lose a home game? So you don't think you're getting ready to play this next week, and now all of a sudden you see that scoreboard. We've got a bye. We're at home.
That's huge, Mike. You don't have to go on the road.
And there are Ravens upset away from hosting the AFC Championship game again.
I thought Tony's reaction was hysterical when we watched Andy Reid talking to the team after the game.
Yeah, he's going in. I'm sure he thought about his post-game speech all weekend. Okay, we're going to come in, and then we'll get ready, and then I got to change this. What do I say? We've got the bye. We've got the bye.
And there's just a certain comfort level, too, as a player that you have, being able to wake up at home, be around your family and your kids. I mean, it's special when you know you don't have to travel.
So I'm going to come to you with what's been Tony's issue with the Chiefs for the last couple of years. They gave up some touchdowns to the Chargers on Sunday, but over the 2 prior games, they didn't give up a touchdown. They went like a 9.5 quarter stretch without giving up a touchdown. Do you believe in the Kansas City defense, Rodney, that they can be playoff caliber against the type of teams they're going to play, which could be New England and then Baltimore?
Yeah, because they're playing with a lot of confidence, and that's what you need. A lot of times you can have a lot of good players, and if you're not playing with confidence, then you won't have success. But they're playing with a lot of confidence. They're fired up. They're playing complementary football. They know they have a great offense. They're going to put points on the board. But now the defense with Tyrann Mathieu and Chris Jones and those guys, they're playing well.
And that's something that Patrick Mahomes told me a couple of weeks ago after one of their victories. He notices the confidence and the swagger from Mathieu, from Jones, from Frank Clark. It wasn't there before, and it's gelled. And I think the Patrick Mahomes injury, when he's gone for a couple weeks and the defense has to step up, that was the moment it started to spin the other way, and they realized they're a better defense than they were last year.
And think about this now. They beat they beat Baltimore, and they beat New England when they weren't playing this kind of defense. Now they're playing better defense.
Excellent point, Coach.
So I'm never going to look past the Patriots. You know, I'll be a fool and be wrong, then go against the Patriots, right? But imagine if Kansas City and Baltimore play in the AFC Championship game, and here comes 3rd down. Here's Terrell Suggs lining up against all those Ravens who are kind of his guys. He's in Suggs signed with the Chiefs a couple of weeks ago. That could be a really cool scene. I know we're way ahead in the AFC Championship game, but that's a big item 1, but it was a big Sunday in the NFL. All right.
Well, let's go to question 2. Speaking of AFC, which team do you think is more dangerous, the number 4 Texans or the number 5 Bills?
I'd say without question the Bills. Absolutely the Bills. I think they've been the better team all year long. We've seen inconsistency from the Texans. We've seen them at their best. They can be very good, but I think the Bills are a team that's been steady all year long. I almost feel like the Bills are a team that has yet to figure out how good they are, and they don't have faith in what they can do, and they haven't finished against some of the better teams. All they need is that one win where they can convince themselves we are one of the best teams in this conference, and that could open the floodgates.
I think we know how great their defense is and how well they play, but offensively, still a lot of questions because a lot of times Josh Allen, he'll just drop back and hold the ball and not really have a plan on what they want to do. I love Devin Singletary, the running back, Cole Beasley in the slot. I still think they have some limitations offensively, Coach.
I'm going to give you 2 what-ifs for the Texans because we know they've got that kind of wild card with Deshaun Watson who can make plays. But what if Will Fuller is healthy and J.J. Watt comes back?
Yeah, exactly.
And healthy.
Exactly.
Then I think they can make some noise. Without those two guys, though,
Who's more important?
And Fuller's likely going to miss next
more
week.
important?
J.J. Watt, I think he gives them a lift defense.
You think he's more important
Even
than
have
Will
him
Fuller?
for
Yes.
20 snaps or something like that?
Yes.
J.J. Watt?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think Will Fuller because he can stretch the field. When you stretch the field with those tight ends, Darren Fells and those guys, and Hopkins, I just think it's Will Fuller.
Mike, your point's big. It doesn't look like they'll have him for next week.
Right, that
Because
groin
of
injury, and it's been hamstring. Now it's groin. It's just a chronic issue
you're talking
with
about
Will
Will?
Fuller.
Yeah, let's hope he's back.
They're hoping to get him back.
Fascinating in that matchup, Tre'Davious White, who had a terrific year as a corner, will he travel with DeAndre Hopkins? And DeAndre Hopkins is that one game-changing freak who can make plays and change the game. That's the thing Buffalo's missing right now. They don't have that alpha on the outside offensively who can flip the game. John Brown had a great year.
Yeah, right.
Smoke had over 1,000 yards, had, I think, a half dozen touchdowns. He had a very good year. You mentioned Beasley in the slot. They're getting good things out of their young tight end, Dawson Knox. Do they have that one guy who can change the game? Because Hopkins, we've all seen him. He goes up with like 3 fingers and makes a catch and blows people away. That'll be fascinating to watch if those two go head-to-head.
Yeah.
All right, number 3, what is your reaction to Aaron Rodgers' comeback with Green Bay and the Packers getting a bye, Coach?
If you would have told me even 5 weeks ago that the Packers could possibly be the #1 seed, but they'd have a bye, I'd say there's no way. They're playing well on defense. They're running the ball well, but they don't grab you as that exciting team that can do it all. But I'll tell you what, Rodgers has some more weaponry around him. They could be dangerous.
See, I think the complete opposite. I don't think they have a lot of great weapons. They're not getting a lot of production from the tight end spot. Aaron Jones is the majority of their offense. Devontae Adams, he's Aaron Rodgers' favorite target, but Aaron is playing good football. He's not playing great football. So I just think offensively they have some limitations. Defensively, I think they're good. They're not great.
But look at what this team has done in the year after Mike McCarthy was fired. 13-3. They're going to get a bye week. And we've talked all year long about Coach of the Year from time to time. And the position always is, let's wait until the dust settles on the seats. Green Bay getting a bye makes Matt LaFleur a viable candidate for Coach of the Year. Coming in there with a quarterback who, had that reputation for maybe being a little difficult. He got it under control, got the defense under control, and they just keep winning.
But
Did they have an easy schedule?
No, not easier than anybody in the East.
No.
Because remember, all the teams in the NFC East or the AFC East had each other's East to play. And there were really, as we saw, no powerhouse teams in the NFC East, and only New England, who was beatable this year, as a powerhouse in the AFC East, and then Buffalo. So,
But I think it also speaks to the NFC. I think anybody could come out of this thing winning. You look at Green Bay, and they almost could be the #1 seed. They beat Detroit 2 games that they could have lost both games.
Exactly.
They lost to Philadelphia at home. They should have lost to Minnesota. There was that disputed offensive pass interference penalty in the first game. They played tight games against everybody. They've won a lot of tight football.
And when they have a clunker, it's a real clunker, like at L.A. when they lost to the Chargers and when they got rolled over by the 49ers. So they got the potential to lay an egg in any of these playoff games.
The funny thing about it, Mike, is I guess we're all so used to Aaron Rodgers making all these fantastic plays and just being so incredible. When you don't see that, you start to kind of wonder. You kind of start to worry about him.
Didn't you see that from the mid-third quarter on Sunday against Detroit? Now, I know the guys making the plays weren't the special guys, but, it was big play after big play.
But in
it
the
was
first
really
half, it
Rodgers'
wasn't,
pace.
right?
No, it wasn't. And, Detroit lined up to Aaron Jones, not going to beat us. He had 19 total touchdowns on the year, and he wasn't going to beat them, although he does with the screen late in the game. But when they had to get back in the game, they were down 14 mid-third quarter. It was Aaron Rodgers. He started throwing the ball. He ended up with 55, 56 attempts, which he hadn't been doing, but they had to. So I think they can win the game with Aaron Jones, they can win the game with defense, and they can win the game if Aaron Rodgers
When you're playing against the Detroit Lions, but when you're not playing against, when you're playing against San Francisco and New Orleans and those good teams.
If you have a first half like they did today in the postseason, you're done.
By the way, you mentioned the Chargers. I just want to get this list in here. The end of this Sunday could have seen the end of a lot of things. Could have been the last time we see the Coliseum in L.A. hosting a football game. Could be the last time we see Eli Manning with the Giants. The last time Phillip Rivers with the Chargers. The last time Jason Garrett with the Cowboys. And Mike, you're all over that stuff. It could be the last time we see 2 great tight ends in Greg Olsen and Jason Witten playing in the NFL. It's like so many potential goodbyes that we could have seen at the end of the 100th season of the NFL. So while we're talking all the going forward stuff, there's a little melancholy goodbye and a likelihood for a lot of things that have been such a part of our Sundays for many years. Yeah. So you got it.
I'll start with you, Florio. Reaction to the Eagles winning NFC East.
I'm shocked, but I'm not completely stunned because we've seen the Eagles each of the last 3 seasons, different circumstances. It was going into the playoffs 2 years ago when Carson Wentz was out, and they were the #1 seed, but nobody believed them. They had the dog masks out. Last year, they were 4-6. They turned it around and got to the playoffs. This year, 5-7, left for dead. They win 4 in a row like it's no big thing. Something happened at halftime of that Monday night game against the Giants, and they carried it out. And we've seen Carson Wentz, first quarterback in Eagles franchise history to throw for 4,000 yards. And who was he throwing to all year long? Amazing when you think about it, and here they are. And they get a home playoff game. And this is the kind of team that, single elimination, they have shown how dangerous they can be. Last year, they beat the Bears in Chicago, and they gave the Saints everything they could handle. The top-seeded Saints, they were up 14-0 at one point, and but for Alshon Jeffrey dropping a pass late, the thing could have gone the other way, and the Eagles could have made it back to the NFC Championship game. So I'm not going to write them off going into the postseason.
And I'm going to back up your point there for a second about Wentz. I didn't check the final numbers from today. I don't think he had a wide receiver with more than 500 receiving yards. Think about having 4,000 yards with nobody having, 1,000 yards. It's like Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. We were all like, oh, they both had over 1,000 yards? I mean, it becomes kind of commonplace for teams that are good. So to do 4,000 without a receiver at 500 speaks to it all.
You see those young guys, and it almost seemed like it sparked Carson Wentz.
No doubt.
Those young guys coming in, because a lot of times those young guys, they just want to do whatever it takes to please the coach, to please the quarterback, and get on the field.
And I think it speaks to the heart of that team.
Yeah.
They have a lot of championship caliber guys on that team, both sides of the ball. Their coach does a great job holding things together, and they just never gave up.
No, Zach Ertz in this game today, too.
It's been like that every week. Somebody's missing, and they step up.
And they may get Deshaun Jackson back for the divisional round.
That'd be interesting.
Think of how that opens up the entire offense when you have a guy who is stretching the field and pulling safeties deep, and all that underneath stuff will be wide open.
Right. Two more points of cleanup, by the way. They did not have a wide receiver with over 500 yards this year. So that's even more impressive with Wentz. And the other goodbye that I forgot, I knew I forgot a goodbye, was the Raiders in Oakland. They are now officially the Las Vegas Raiders.
Wow. No more Oakland Coliseum.
No more Oakland Coliseum.
So Las Vegas, not Vegas Raiders.
No, it's not. It's very good,
I'm
Rodney.
messing with you, man.
No, Rodney, that's good because hockey, they are the Vegas Golden Knights, as you well know.
Okay.
They're not the Las Vegas Golden Knights. So you were just, we do carry all the way to the Stanley Cup here on NBC, so you are Mr. Hockey. Doc Emmerich and Rodney coming to a game near you. Rodney Harrison between the glass, inside the glass.
Great enforcer.
Who is Doc?
Are you ready? Can we do the speed round?
Did Mike ask his question?
Yeah, I asked my question. Mine was about the Packers.
Oh, okay.
Rodney's
We're all
asked his.
done.
We're done.
You ready for speed round?
Yes, sir.
Last one of the decade. Who should be the next coach of the Cowboys?
Tony Dungy.
I knew you were going to do that.
I think I would do a good job.
I think you'd do an unbelievable job. Are you kidding me?
Jerry, where you at?
They'll be right back in there being a Super Bowl.
You can't have him. You can't have him, Jerry.
You give him $12 million a year, he's gone.
Can we do this with 3 chairs?
He wouldn't move the franchise to Tampa. So I don't think we have a chance.
All right, Florian, that's your bailiwick.
There's all this presumption he's going to make a run at Lincoln Riley or Matt Rule. I think he wants somebody who can hit the ground sprinting. That's somebody with NFL experience, somebody that he knows and that he's comfortable with. He'd love to get Sean Payton. It looks like Payton is tied to New Orleans, even though there was a thought a year ago at some point Payton would leave the Saints and try to become the first coach to win a Super Bowl with 2 different franchises. That now seems to have sailed. But I mentioned earlier tonight Dan Campbell, the Saints assistant coach who was an interim coach in Miami, ties to Bill Parcells, played for the Cowboys. Gary Kubiak, if health would allow him to coach full-time, he's been very low-key this year.
You worry about his health, though?
Well, that's the issue. He's supposedly not able to coach because of health reasons as a head coach.
And that's the most stressful position in the league.
Because they all come in with hair, and then they all leave with no hair.
And then Mike Zimmer.
You really think that could happen?
Well, look, the Vikings are going to have to make a decision. He's under contract for 1 more year. This is a great situation for Zimmer if it happens, because it'll force the Vikings to say we either want to extend this guy or we will let him move on and go be the Cowboys head coach. And I think that's the kind of guy Jerry Jones is going to be comfortable
So can I ask this out of the Lincoln Riley, Matt Rule from Baylor school? Jerry's Super Bowls have been won with college coaches. Yeah. Jimmy Johnson came from Miami, obviously had the pedigree, and then Barry Switzer. Do you think he leans back to that or leans more to we've got an NFL-ready team I can't have a guy learning the NFL on the run.
I mean, he said within the last 2 weeks, if you hire a college coach, you're putting yourself at a position where there's a learning curve. And Jerry has had that sense of urgency in recent years for obvious reasons.
No way that could be a spokesman.
Yeah, I was about to say,
right?
but
that's the other thing. You never know what to believe with him. But at the same time, he wants to win right now. He doesn't want to take time like he did with Jason Garrett, thinking 2, 3, 4 years in, we're going to have a guy who can win a Super Bowl.
I'll let you throw out the answers and the guys react. Who should be the next coach of the Browns?
Wow. They want an extraordinary leader. Now, Ron Rivera is a guy I would make a beeline to if Tony's not available, but it looks like Ron Rivera is going to potentially get gobbled up by Washington, right?
Nice.
So you want the Browns
You see the
job?
look? He looked at you like, boy, you crazy.
Well, I mean, we could put Tony's name in the mix for any job that comes available.
Don't you think the Browns really
need somebody like
stability
Coach,
and experience?
Let me just say this, Coach, with all the respect that you have in the league amongst the players, they wouldn't act the way they act in Cleveland if you were the coach. I'm just saying. I want you to stay here, but I'm just saying.
He's not going anywhere. I'm going to hang on to him. But the point is, that's what they need.
They need something like that. Yes, they
I like
do.
Ron Rivera.
And I think Ron Rivera, I mean, look at with Cam Newton, all those years. There was, Cam Newton's a guy that in the wrong environment, I think, could be a Baker Mayfield type of an issue pops up every few weeks. Ron Rivera kept things under control. They went to a Super Bowl, 2-time Coach of the Year. Yeah. I would make a beeline for Ron Rivera. Yeah.
For the 437th time from the Football Night in America host seat, the question is asked, is Jameis the Bucs quarterback of the future? Rodney's.
People don't want to. I really think he could be and should be.
Do you think he grew this year?
He grew a little bit. I still think Coach Arians needs to tone things down a little bit and forget about that no risk it, no biscuit, and just tell him we've got to protect the football. You've got to be better at it. And it can happen. Peyton Manning, I mentioned it before.
Yeah.
100 interceptions his first 5 years. 54 interceptions his second 5 years. He learned and he progressed. And I think Jameis can do that. But somebody's got to go in there like we did and say, look, you've got to take care of the football.
And you made the good point, too. Bruce Arians at 67 is not going to start over from scratch in all likelihood with a quarterback if he's going to be the guy there.
There are so many free agent quarterbacks that are slated to be available in March. Older guys, established guys. Now, I don't know that Bruce Arians would want to do that. I just think with Jameis Winston, if you accept that he is what he is right now, can you win with a guy who's going to... But can
Why
you?
y'all keep asking the same question? He threw 30 interceptions. You had 5 years to see this guy. We've been arguing about Jameis for the longest. He gives us great greats. He gives us terrible bads. You can't win with him, Coach. Mike, don't
We know where
Don't act like that, Mike.
Rodney comes down.
It's the 30 for 30.
I wish you would just be candid with your feelings and not hold back.
For the next decade, so you make New Year's resolutions. If you make a decade resolution, it's to be as candid as Rodney is. Right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
That'd be for all of us.
That's why I love
Have we
it.
seen the last of Phillip Rivers? At least with the Chargers.
Oh, yeah.
I think so.
I think we've seen the last of them for good. Him and Eli Manning. Because nobody's going to offer them the kind of contract that would suggest it's your job, unquestioned, go be our guy.
And they're not going to go play on a bad team. So what good team is going to take a 37, 38-year-old quarterback?
Look at the new trend of quarterbacks. They're young, they're athletic, they can move, they can throw, they're inspiring. No.
The only team that would have made sense was the Titans before they found Ryan Tannehill.
And you know, Phillip, his heart. He played with his heart and his emotions every single snap.
But sometimes it's just time to walk away.
Yeah. Lastly, of all the non-playoff teams, who would you look out for next year?
Ooh.
Bears?
That's a good one.
You like that?
Well, Trubisky, yeah.
Cowboys, depending upon who their coach is.
Cowboys?
Maybe
Cowboys
the
if they
Lions.
move to Tampa.
Maybe the Lions, right?
They led in 14 of the 16 games.
Right.
So they can just hang on to second-half leads. It would behoove them. What pick they have? They have the third pick in the draft. Cincinnati has the 1, Washington the 2, Chicago, or Detroit 3, Giants 4, Miami 5.
Miami Dolphins.
Miami.
I think Brian did a great job with that. They've got some picks. I think some of those players start to believe. And you beat New England the last game of the year in a
That's
game
huge
New England
going
had
into
to
that
win.
game. You're right.
You come in saying, you know what, we can do
Beat
this.
anybody.
Do we believe in the Rams with a clean slate going into next year?
Will they make a defensive coordinator change, do you think, Mike?
I think so.
Okay, and
I
then
think
what's
so.
going to happen with the salary cap
Salary
and
cap,
juggling
no
some
draft
players
Todd
there?
Gurley, they got a big decision on him to make. $10.5 million becomes fully guaranteed in March. There's
And
going to
their
be some
O-line
changes
needs to-
there, and they know. Andrew Whitworth likely to walk away. He's been a cornerstone of that offense. They're building the offense around Jared Goff, and they're building the defense around Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. And I don't know that building it around Goff is enough. I don't know what you think about that. Well, I know what you think about that.
But no draft choices.
I think he's a
Draft
good
choices,
player,
too.
guys.
So Rodney's decade resolution is that he's going to be a kinder, gentler Rodney Harrison, as well as honest. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year,
by the
Mike.
way,
Happy New Year.
we did Secret Santa. It was a complete fiasco. We'll have to do a separate podcast on that. Like, we get guys bringing gifts unwrapped, keeping them.
8 children under 10 years old. They do Secret Santas. There's never a mix-up.
They understand.
They all understand the rules. They all get
Yes.
their gift to their sibling.
It happens on time.
And they're 8 years old.
Yeah, it's incredible. If only we could do that here. On that note,
What a shock that Sims was part of the confusion.
oh, please. The fiasco last year, Chris, he forgot a gift. He didn't know what Secret Santa was. On that note, we wish you a great next decade. See you in the playoffs. We look forward to it. We cannot wait. Best 12 games of the year ahead.
You're mean, Mike.
I'm very nice, Rodney. Not to you, though. Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.